Welcome to Politics Unusual. I'm Morgan Mackay. From pro bono legal services to combating anti-Semitism, our first guest has been hard at work. We're speaking with First Deputy Mayor Mastro about the two new offices he's been spearheading and what he's working on next. Then we're speaking with Mark Levine about his Democratic primary win in the New York City Comptroller's race. And we're checking in with New Jersey residents about cost of living concerns. But first, on Thursday, a state appellate court ruled that the Adams administration must implement a package of laws passed by the city council that would expand access to housing vouchers. Mayor Eric Adams vetoed these laws back in 2023, but the council majority overruled his veto and took him to court. The Adams administration argued that only the state could make these changes to the program, citing cost and lack of available housing. But the Supreme Court's appellate division ruled against them. The Adams administration could still decide to appeal, which brings us to our first guest, First Deputy Mayor Mastro. Thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure to be here with you, Morgan.
So on this news today, have you guys decided whether or not you're going to appeal?
We will definitely be appealing. This would have billion-dollar consequences for the city, and it's something that the city council did outside the budget process and without following at all the procedures required under state law. So this is preempted by state law, and it also would be a fundamental violation of the separation of powers and how we do budgets in our city. So we will definitely be appealing, confident of a reversal on appeal. Other cases we've taken up recently where the council acted in a way that was illegal. The New York Court of Appeals, our highest court, has reversed. So we're confident that we will ultimately prevail, and the consequences are profound. If this ruling were to stand, we don't believe it will.
Now that the judge has ordered you guys to go ahead and start implementing this program, if you guys try to appeal, are you guys hoping for a temporary restraining order?
Well, there is an elaborate state process. That's why it's preempted by state law. And that hasn't even begun. So we are a long way from having to worry about that and expect the state's highest appellate court to take the case and rule in the interim.
So shifting to the city budget, you were just listed as the spearheading this new office. Facilitate pro bono legal assistance for New Yorkers and immigrants. Tell me more about this program, and I mean, it just started, I know, but what have you seen so far?
Well, the purpose of such an office is that there should be a central repository, a place where indigent New Yorkers who need pro bono services in any variety of areas, constitutional rights, civil rights, tenants' rights, where they need representation, they don't have the resources to pay for it, a place where they can go, that the city is making available to them to connect with lawyers. That's lawyers at private law firms, that's law schools, that's legal clinics. I think that it can be an extremely valuable service. But at the same time, we were creating this office. I have a lot of experience in this area because of the asylum seekers centers and matching up asylum seekers with legal counsel. What came out of this budget with certain immigrants under siege as they try to assert their legal rights, to seek amnesty as they try to prevent deportation, as families are separated. They need legal representation, and this budget has added over $70 million for those types of cases. So this office will also be helping as an extension of the work we did with an asylum seekers center. The main one, the Roosevelt Hotel, has finally closed. That's a measure of how much progress we've made in moving those asylum seekers out of an assistance system. But there are still issues about legal status and deportation and family separation, and now there will be an office to help match those immigrants with the legal services they need and resources to pay for them.
Now, I know a lot of city council members have been calling on both the city and the state to provide more resources for immigrants, especially those facing deportation. And that's what you guys provide here. On the flip side of that, you had some council members saying, you know, this money should have gone for something else. What do you think?
Well, I think that where we are today, our administration partnered with the council to provide these resources. And when I say where we are today, this mayor has stood strong and said where we have violent transnational criminal gangs and the federal administration wants to arrest them, criminally prosecute them, we're going to cooperate with that because that makes our city safer. And we would think that most, if not all, New Yorkers would favor that. But then there's a separate question of immigrants who've come here, they're seeking asylum. We helped them seek asylum when they came here, our administration. And to have those individuals snatched off the courthouse steps when they're seeking asylum, that's not right. So in those cases where those asylum seekers have now face deportation proceedings, this administration has done something no other city in the country has done. We've appeared in those cases as friends of the court to say we support those asylum seekers. We are going to stand with them because we are a city that wants to encourage people to come here and get legal status.
Now, you are also overseeing another new office, which is to combat anti-Semitism. How is that going?
All I can say is that this is one of, I think, the proudest achievements that we've had since I've been there. I'm so proud of this mayor for doing that. You know, we are at a crossroads in our city. Hate crimes, this year alone, over 60% of the hate crimes reported in this city have been against Jews. All the other hate crimes combined don't come close to the hate crimes against Jews. We are meeting the moment, and we are working on mask legislation that is not only addresses anti-Semitism, but addresses hate. People can spew whatever bile they want to that the First Amendment might permit, but they can't wear masks when they do it. Congregate and wear masks to do it.
Where are we with that mask legislation?
We are building a strong coalition in support of the legislation, and we will put it forward. It has to be passed by the City Council. I think we're getting very close. All we're talking about, Morgan, so people understand, we had a mask ban in this state for over 100 years before COVID. It was a mask ban that served us well through Klan rallies and through other forms of hateful protests where people wore masks. All we're saying is reinstate that ban. Same language, same terms. If you wear it for medical reasons in light of COVID, okay, that can be an affirmative defense. But reinstate the mask ban that served our city so well and our state so well for over 100 years. Now, the state legislature dropped the ball. They didn't pass that legislation. They passed something that was just an enhancement in the commission of a crime.
An additional penalty.
Yes, but this is about hateful protests where people wear masks to hide their identities, whether it's the Ku Klux Klan against blacks, whether it's those hateful protests against Chinese Americans after COVID, whether it's Islamophobia, or whether it's anti-Semitism. We are going to stand up against hate. And the way you do that is you reinstate a mask ban. That's standing up for public safety, job one. And we're going to do that, and we're going to fight for it, and we hope the City Council will join us.
Now, reportedly, that included in your mask ban proposal jail time for people who break it. I've been hearing, though, that got removed recently. Why was that jail portion removed? Are you guys just looking at fines if people are wearing masks at protests?
So again, the legislative process, because we have to work with our City Council. I was going to use the word partners, but but I just said City Council. Hopefully they'll be our partners in this. It was suggested on their end that they would prefer, at least one member would prefer there not to be a period of incarceration, just a fine. So we agreed to do that. That's actually part of the normal back and forth in the legislative process. It wasn't really newsworthy, and I think that what was surprising was that anyone even leaked that information when we were in the process of negotiating a bill with widespread support. We will continue that process. We'll announce a mask ban soon, and we will urge the City Council to pass it as soon as possible, because we are meeting the moment, and the moment is now for a mask ban.
Now, I also wanted to quickly talk about the Adams administration just recently got a win when it came to the solitary confinement ban. The City Council the City Council passed a law that would ban solitary confinement, but the judge issued a temporary restraining order halting that ban from going into effect. What are your thoughts so far on that?
Well, that is the same federal judge who's overseeing issues relating to Rikers Island. And the notion that we don't call it solitary confinement, it's actually restricted access within the prison system, that's a management and safety issue. The City Council should never have been passing legislation that encroached or curtailed the ability of the executive branch to manage the prison system. And the fact of the matter is, anyone who knows anything about prison systems knows there's sometimes it's necessary as a matter of safety and order and management in the prisons to have restricted access for certain prisoners because of their conduct, or I should say misconduct. So, common sense has prevailed. What a blessing in New York City.
And speaking about Rikers, a different judge also temporarily halted ICE going back on Rikers. That decision's now delayed indefinitely. What are your thoughts, and what are you guys doing in the Adams administration to get that forward?
We have appealed, and once again, we are hopeful that common sense will prevail in New York City. Understand what this lawsuit is about. Because the mayor delegated the authority to me when I first joined in City Hall, issued an executive order that merely says federal law enforcement, that's FBI, DEA, ICE, postal inspectors, that for criminal investigations, they could have a presence on Rikers Island in a separate building where other law enforcement congregate to get information in real time to prosecute the crimes that are going on at Rikers or in conspiracies with people outside of Rikers. That makes our city safer. It's about going after those violent transnational gangs in our city who prey on New Yorkers, and particularly the immigrant community here. So this is just common sense. Why the City Council challenged it? They admit that it's perfectly legal under New York law, local law, to go after criminals. But they brought a lawsuit anyway. That's why we're absolutely convinced that we will ultimately prevail in the litigation.
They did argue that there was a quid pro quo with the Adams administration to get his criminal charges dropped in relation with the Trump administration.
I'm really glad you raised that, because that was also a bogus argument. By the time these judicial decisions recently were rendered, the criminal charges against Mayor Adams had been dismissed with prejudice. He owed nothing to no one. Okay? The charges that never should have been brought were dismissed with prejudice. So all Mayor Adams has ever done is stand up for New York and what's in the best interest of New York. Sometimes that means agreeing with the federal government and keeping an open line of communication so that we get wind projects reinstated that are worth billions to our economy. And sometimes that means standing up to the federal administration, including a dozen lawsuits. We've probably brought more than any other city in the country when we thought the federal administration was wrong. Mayor Adams stands up for what's right for New York. He owes nothing to no one. He is beholden to no one. He stands up for New York.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. I'm going to have you back on as the year progresses. Thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.